and then we'll just get ready to go. So I think it makes sense before we jump into Art's action plan to just give everybody kind of a really high level overview of exactly where he's at, and he's given me permission to kind of do this. But Art actually is, let me just make this bigger. So Art is out in Chino Hills, California. Has been a real estate agent for over 15 years. Very successful real estate agent, both has had a team and he's also been an individual producer. So he's been a real estate agent for over 15 years and he's been an investor for the past year. In the past year, he's done 3 fix and flips. And the way that he does it is he's the one, so he's got a partner. So Art is responsible for finding the deals, putting them under contract, and making sure that anything that they buy is going to be profitable. Now he's got a partner on the other side of the business, just like I do, who manages all of the fix and flips. And so what he does is he's out there hunting for deals, spending money on marketing, and then he's dumping those investment deals over to his partner to renovate in order to fix and flip. And so Art came out for a 3-day session to visit last week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and he brought out his team member. So Art now has a brokerage team of total of 4 people. So Art as the producer, Sabrina as the acquisition listing person. I'm drawing a blank on the other name, but he has another person who works buyer leads. And then lastly, he has an admin. So that's kind of his setup. And what he's looking to do is replicate the model that we have at Cameron Real Estate Group, where we've got over 200 agents doing over 100 investment deals per year and roughly 1,000 total transactions between investment and the brokerage. All right, so does anybody have any specific questions about kind of where Art's at before I jump into his specific plan? Just type them into the comment section and I'll cover anything that you want to know specifically about him. But we're going to talk, specifically about what his action plan, if anybody doesn't have any questions right out of the gate. All right, so if you do have anything, just type it in. But I broke down his 90-day action plan into lead generation, fix and flip goals, key hires that he's going to need to make to scale out his business, recruiting for his real estate brokerage team, and time management. So let's start with lead generation, because lead generation at the end of the day is the most important activity that we do both as investors and as real estate agents. You can be really, really bad at all of the other stuff, but good at lead generation and still make money. The opposite is not true. You can be really good at everything else, but if you're bad at lead generation, it's tough to really succeed in real estate, again, whether it's on the brokerage side or whether it's on the investment side. And the stuff that we're talking about today is Art kind of blending the best of both worlds, blending the investment business with the brokerage business. So the lead gen for the next 90 days, So Art has started with our seller side lead generation platform. So it's a motivated seller lead generation platform. And he's going to spend in the neighborhood of $3,000 per month to generate motivated seller leads. And he's going to continue to do that. He is getting in his market in Chino Hills, California, somewhere between $70 and $100 per motivated seller lead. Okay, and we've been doing that for him for the last month. So he's going to continue doing that, and that's what he's going to do for lead generation over the course of the next 90 days. On the buyer side of the business, he's going to start leveraging off his current listings. So for anybody that's on right now that has listings or has coming soon properties that they can promote, there is such an opportunity right now to generate completely free buyer leads. So if anyone is paying for Zillow or Trulia or any sort of buyer lead Google pay-per-click platform, and you have listings, you are probably wasting your money right now because of the fact that you can get these same exact leads for absolute free. And so while Art was here, we walked him through how to generate leads for free by using Facebook groups, Craigslist ads, and both of these things. So as I mentioned, specific to him, he's got somebody on his team that is specific to working buyers. So what he's going to do is he's going to go out and he's going to make sure that that person who's working buyer leads in his office is doing the posting on Facebook groups and Craigslist ads in order to generate him completely free buyer leads. And before he started working with us, about 6 months to a year before he started working with us, he was paying a ton of money. And I'm drawing a blank on the platform that he was using, but to generate buyer leads on Google pay-per-click. So this is going to all replace this. So he's going to spend, instead of spending somewhere around $3,000 on the buyer side of the business, he's going to spend $3,000 on the listing side of the business, the listing / acquisition side of the business. And then from the listings that he's going to leverage those in order to turn those into free buyer leads. So he's going to end up generating the same amount of buyer leads that he generated before, just paying for buyer leads by promoting the listings that he gets, the listings and the acquisition deals that he gets, and turn those into buyers. All right, he's also going to leverage off the coming soons that he's going to be fixing and flipping. So one of his goals that I'm going to get into is to do roughly one investment deal per month. And so there's an incredible opportunity to promoting all of the coming soons, all of the properties that you've closed on, to promote them on day one when you close on them. So if you have an investment deal that you're going to fix and flip over the course of 3, 6, 9 months, on day one, you want to start promoting that for buyer leads. And on average, you should be getting anywhere from 4 to 10 buyer leads per week for every coming soon that you have. And so we walked him through exactly how to do that. And he's going to start all of those campaigns on the day that he closes on the properties for his investment deals. So within 90 days, he really wants 1 to 2 good people to process these leads for him, right? So if you're an investor right now, or you're a listing agent right now, you have an incredible opportunity to maximize those listings to get free leads. And so he's going to need to hire at least 1 to 2 more good people over the course of the next 90 days. And then he's going to have to hold them accountable in the same way that he held them accountable to buyer leads when he was paying for buyer leads. He's also going to add in on the lead generation side, city records for dialing, and we're working on that. So he's putting together a list right now of the cities where he wants to acquire properties and list properties, and we're going to end up pulling cell phone records in the cities that he wants. So through the company that we pull records for, and I'll just show everybody kind of just for illustrative purposes what that looks like. Okay, so what Art is going to end up doing is he's going to tell me the cities that he wants to do business in. And he's going to end up giving me a list just like this list here that we pulled out of public record with the addresses, the cities, states, the zips, the owner names, and everything like that. Data that you can pull either right out of public record, or we have a program that we use specific to the people that we work with out of state where we can pull this data for you. And so you're going to send over this information to me. And then what I am going to do is spit it back with all the cell phone records, right? So it's going to come right back. And for most people, they're going to have multiple cell phone records that he can call on. So he's going to start putting together a database of city records for dialing. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how he's then going to generate leads from those city lists. Is everything making sense so far on the lead gen side for Art? And just type into the chat section if you do have any questions. Art, if this is not making sense to you, just let me know. I think some of this we've already talked about, but trying to give you a more kind of clear picture of exactly what the next 90 days is going to look like for you. All right, cool. Looks like it's making sense to everybody. I'm getting some positive feedback. So again, if I'm going too fast, if I'm going too slow, just let me know. I'm happy to speed up, slow down, focus on any specific side of the business that anybody wants me to. So we talked about the lead gen side, right? So as real estate investors, as real estate agents, we need to do two things really well, right? We need to lead generate in order to get face-to-face with people. So everything we talked about that he's going to be working on in the next 90 days is simply to get face-to-faces, right? So that's half the battle. But once we actually get face-to-face, we actually need to then close. So there's some cases where people are really good at sales, but they don't know how to lead generate. And there's some cases where people really are good at lead generating, but they don't know how to close. So in order to close, you really need to focus on the sales side of the business. And so his plan of action, and like I mentioned, he's got one person right now that's taking the bulk of his seller leads. So he's going to continue funneling these seller appointments to his best person. And he's also going to keep a really close eye on conversion. So something that I made a mistake on in the really, really early days is not having any idea of what the conversion rate should be for successful real estate agents that were taking my leads. So you've got to keep a really close eye on conversion. And so to give everybody kind of an idea of what that should look like. So on an appointment where, let's call it on a cold appointment, where the seller has never met us before, and the premise is that we are going out with a cash offer. Roughly 5 to 10% of those sellers, of those seller appointments, will result in discounted purchases. Okay? And this is actually the easy part. So in a lot of cases on the investment side of the business, it's kind of right place, right time. You've got somebody that's super motivated to sell at a discount, and you're in front of them. So although there are sales skills needed to get to this level, this is almost like the most basic of sales skills needed. The listing side is where there's such a big difference. Okay? Okay, so what Art is going to need to keep, a good eye on is what percentage of these are turning into investment deals and what percentage of these are turning into listings on the listing side, right? So if the person that he's sending out there has been completely untrained by him, they're going to result in somewhere between 5 and 10% of all of those appointments are going to turn into listings. If he basic trains them, does a little bit of training, maybe shadows them face to face a couple of times, and then kind of just lets them go on their own, it's going to be somewhere between 10 and 20% conversion. And then if he focuses a lot of his time, effort, and energy getting them trained, following our systems, they should be somewhere in the 20 to 40% range. And I actually have some of my best salespeople are actually closer to the 50% range of either converting something into a listing or something into an investment deal on each and every appointment. So he's going to be tracking his metrics, keeping a very close eye on his conversion. And within 90 days, my recommendation for him is to try to find one more really good person who can take seller leads. So he is basically the fallback person in his business right now for taking these appointments. And if he wants to elevate, and that's what he wants to do, he wants to start to replicate the model that we have, he's going to get himself out of the business. He's going to work on the business just like the E-Myth or any other book about leveraging yourself. He's going to work on the business and not in the business. So he can't be the backup person, right? So having one salesperson as a real estate investor going out and making these offers, you're going to run into some issues because everybody's human. Everybody needs a day off here and there. Everybody gets sick here and there. People quit. You might have to fire people. So you never, in my opinion, want to rely on one person to really do anything. You get yourself into trouble anytime you rely on one person specifically for anything. And it's so easy on the sales side of the business to have 2 or 3 good people. They're all kind of rotating through. The other thing that we just talked about is the conversion percentage. So the other key thing to having 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people is you can track the conversion percentage between different people, right? And so one of the things that we do here in my office is if we see that someone's conversion is low, we know that they need more mentoring. So we know that we've got to get them out face to face with some of the more successful people so that they can mirror and match what the successful people are doing. So it's very common for me to find somebody that's closing in the 10 to 20% ratio where we want to take up a notch, and they'll go out with people in the 20 to 40% ratio, see what they're doing, see how they're handling different objections, see how they're phrasing certain things, see how they're going for the close in order to make sure we can get everybody into this top bucket here. So he's going to get himself out of the business. He's going to find at least one more good person, and this is just within the next 90 days. So find one really good person who can also take leads. The other thing is his plan is to increase his marketing budget over time. So we want to make sure if he's increasing his marketing budget over time that he doesn't overwhelm any one person. One of the mistakes I made early on is to give all of my leads to one specific person. And this person was just going on so many appointments each and every week that they were basically just taking the best of the best and the rest were dying. And that wasn't the agent's fault. That was my fault for overloading the person. So everybody has a certain amount of capacity. Everybody has a certain number of hours that they can work per week and feel really good about. So for some people, believe it or not, that number of hours might only be 10 or 15 or 20 hours a week. So if you give somebody whose capacity is 10 or 15 or 20 hours a week, 30 hours of work to do, they're going to fail and they're going to hate the job. And vice versa. You've got people that can do 60 hours a week or 80 hours a week, but you just never want to go over what their capacity is. So as he continues to increase his marketing budget, he wants to make sure to not overwhelm one specific person. And so my magic formula for this is at a max, give 2 seller appointments per person per week. And if he's going over that, I would start to add in other people to the rotation. For all of his new agents, he's going to add in the dialer standard so that each individual agent has to call between 10 and 15 hours a week to get his seller leads. All right, so we talked about metrics to track already, right? Leads to appointment. So in the very beginning stage here, we talked about he's going to be spending money on Facebook leads, and on the Facebook lead side, the metrics that he wants to track is that for every 5 to 7 leads that he gets on the Facebook lead side, they should convert to 1 appointment. So he does have somebody. Okay, so he has somebody that's actually working the leads, calling them, getting the appointments booked. So this is a metric he wants to make sure he stays on top of, so that if for whatever reason he's going 10 or 15 or 20 leads without booking a face-to-face seller appointment, then he knows there's an issue on that side of the business. He knows that he's going to talk to the person who's doing these initial calls. Appointment to listing, like I mentioned earlier above, I mean, you really want to shoot for 20 to 50% converting into listings out of the gate. Investment deals, we talked about 10% of those are going to convert into 10% of the appointments are going to end up converting into investment deals. Like, so if he's outside of these numbers, there's an issue, right? There's an issue with either the initial calls or the face-to-face appointments. So if there's a sales issue, if they're not converting on the sales side, you need to determine if it's the right person, if it's not the right person, or if they're not getting the right resources. So in some cases in sales, it's the wrong person, right? So not everybody was made to sell. Not everybody was made to be on the tech side. Everybody kind of has their own individual skills and personality. So if anybody's familiar with disc profiling, there's certain profiles of people that really love sales and really will excel at sales. And there's certain people that really hate sales and they think, it's the worst profession in the world. So you've got to make sure you've got the right person. If you've got the wrong person, it doesn't matter how much training you give them, it just can't be fixed, right? So if you have the wrong person taking your leads, then they're going to lose money. If it's a sales issue for him, so if he starts to see the conversions aren't working right, all that he has to do is then plug into our staff, right? Plug into our staff, plug into our stuff. We've got live recorded Facebook sessions every single day teaching the sales strategies that we use. So he's going to be able to have his agents plug in and get trained by us. So Ken said, how do you define the lead? So I define a lead up here as somebody who's filled out a form online. So someone who's got a house that's interested to sell, that's filled out a form on either Google or Facebook or whatever medium that you're promoting your ads on. All right, so one thing I want to note kind of for Art specifically is that he's not going to really be able to properly analyze these metrics until about day 90, but he still wants to keep an eye on it up until then. And at the end of the 90 days, he's going to reassess his marketing budget, right? Should he ramp it up? Should he ramp it down? Is everything working exactly how we want it to work? So any questions on the sales side of the business? We talked about lead generation, how he's going to get leads over the next 90 days. We talked about the sales side, the key metrics that he's going to be working on and focusing on, and who he's going to hire on the sales side and what they're going to do. All right, specific to his fix and flip goals. So he wants to do 1 deal a month. Now, keep in mind, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, there's 2 sides of the business for him. There's the acquisitions and there's the renovation side. So on the renovation side of the business, his partner takes care of this, which is a really good setup, by the way. So I've got the same exact setup in my business. I actually have 2 partners that manage the construction side of the business. I never, ever go into any of the properties that we fix and flip. I don't go into them. I have an agent go in to do all the negotiating on the front end. I have my partners go in on the back end to take care of the renovation. So I'm not needed. I never have to step into a house unless I want to. And at this point, I usually don't want to. So on the acquisition side of the business, Art is responsible and it's going to be generating face-to-face appointments and therefore deals based on the Facebook marketing that he's going to be doing. So he wants to do 12 deals per year. So the 90-day goal for that, if you just do the math, is that he's going to do one to 3 deals. All right. Leverage money. So Art is funding all of his deals himself. So he's actually paying cash. He's not leveraging his money whatsoever. And it's just for every person, it really depends on what your goals are. But for most people, once you start to really grow on the fix and flip side, it's almost nearly impossible to fund all of your deals yourself, especially if you're like Art, you're in a market, Chino Hills, California, which is pretty expensive, just like my market in Boston, it's super expensive. It's almost impossible to fund all of the deals yourself. So to really hit his goals of doing 1 deal a month, he's got to start leveraging out his money more. And in this market, the good thing is it's really easy to do. I don't know if anybody's been watching the stock market recently, but the stock market's on fire. People have money. Hard money lenders are practically begging to loan out money as of right now. Now, this could change at any moment, but as of right now, there's no better market to get hard money lending in than today, because we've got limited deals. So there's not a lot of deals for hard money lenders to lend on, and there's people that have got a lot of money. So in a lot of cases, we're getting extremely good deals. There's even national players that are getting into the hard money game. But within the next 90 days, the goal is to build a relationship with 1 or 2 hard money lenders, and then work on getting one of his next deals funded through either hard money or private money, just not using 100% of his own money, because he's got to leverage to get to that 12 deals per year. All right, so key hires. His next thing, as he starts to ramp up the Facebook marketing, is that he really wants to have somebody that's 100% dedicated to working his leads. And he also wants to have that person dialing out on his city lists, making cold calls for appointments. Okay. Roughly speaking, this is what it's going to cost, somewhere around $2,000 a month to get somebody like that, where you probably have to give them some incentives on the back end. So it might be $2,000 per month plus whatever, $25 per appointment booked, or $1,000 per closed investment deal. So he's going to start looking for this key hire, this inside sales agent, right out of the gate. All right, recruiting to his team. So this is going to be key for him. It's going to be key for him to continue to recruit more people to his team. He's already got some people on his team. He's already got the sales history. He's been in business. He's been a real estate agent for 15 years. He's a top producer. It's not going to be difficult for him to recruit. But he's got a unique situation. So in his office, so he works for a discount real estate brokerage. I couldn't even believe, I forget exactly what he's getting charged per transaction, but it's extremely low cost per transaction. And so he's got somewhere near 200 agents in his office. His office offers no training, no support. It's all just low cost, right? So if somebody is looking to get a very high commission split, they would go to his office, but there's no training. So if he's looking to recruit people on his team, there's no better opportunity for him than to actually recruit people to his team within his own office. So right now, if he's got an office of 200 agents, and he has told me that the office has grown quite a bit, there are always agents who want training, tools, and support. He's got training, tools, support, and leads already right out of the gate. And out of these 200 people, a certain percentage of them are craving that right now. And they're probably thinking whether or not they should be at that individual brokerage. So the best thing for him to do right now is to become that person that comes into the office once a week and does some sort of presentation on lead generation, on systems. And the people that want that information in that office are going to flock to him. And then he can bring those people on his team. So he's got a unique situation which is going to allow him to recruit a bunch of people really easily. And when I say recruit, again, just push them over to his team. All right. And I gave him, so I've got probably 30 to 50 presentations that I've given. So I used to actually go around to different locations and do these exact type of presentations. So I'm going to be giving him my presentation. And so the way that he would go about doing it, and this is just one on short sales, right? So if somebody is interested, you want to pick topics that agents are going to be kind of excited about hearing. And so this one specifically is one that I got a lot of people to go to, which is dominating a niche short sale business. And so the way that I would recommend doing it for him or anybody that's really trying to get an audience is you want to pick a topic that everyone's going to get excited about. You give them content, and then you weave in your sales pitch throughout the presentation. So I start out with who we are, what we do, and I talk about the fact that we're hiring, right? So for him, he's looking to bring people on his team. I talk a little bit about what the benefits of working with us are, the splits, all of that good stuff. And then I give the presentation, right? So I give the presentation, I go through it. And then at the end, I have another call to action. So I'm always looking to do two things. I'm always looking to recruit people onto my team, and I'm always looking to raise money. So no matter what presentation I'm doing, at the very end, I talk about passive income. What does it look like to lend to Ocean City Development? How much money can you make? What is passive income? So at the end of every single presentation, I'm going to be giving this passive income just so that you never know who's in the audience, and it only takes 10 or 15 minutes. Typically, every time that I speak on passive income, I'll get at least one interested party, one person who raises their hand and says that, hey, I want to meet and I want to talk about that. So I've got a list of all these topics that I'm going to be sending to him. He's going to be giving these presentations at his office once a week or once every other week just to start in order to kind of build a following within his own office. So my recommendation for him is think about the types of presentations that get people the most excited. They're typically lead generation systems, making money. So he's going to be able to recruit, again, this is a specific 90-day plan for him. He's going to be able to recruit a lot of people just within his office because there's a void there. There's a void for people who want information that can't get it. He's also going to start running some ads on Craigslist, LinkedIn, Indeed, in order to generate some cold traffic. And so Craigslist, LinkedIn, Indeed, these are all kind of no-brainer places where you just post an ad. People are going to say that they're interested. You're going to meet with them and recruit them over to your team. Any questions on recruiting? I'll leave it open for a second here just to see if anybody has anything specific to recruiting that they want to delve into. Is everything making sense so far? And again, this plan is specific for Art, but is everything kind of high level making sense to everybody? Do I need to explain anything in more detail? All right, cool. So the next thing, oh, Donald, do you need to provide office space to new agents or offer higher splits with training and no office space? Real estate space is money. Yeah, real estate space is definitely money. So yeah, Donald, it depends on where you're kind of at. So in this specific example, Art is under a discount brokerage that he has the ability to basically, work in that office and build out a team in that office. So it depends on whether you're a broker or you're an agent for somebody else. If you're an agent for somebody else and you're building a team, I mean, you can utilize their space. In your specific example, you don't need to always provide space on day one. If you have leads, that's the number one thing. So agents need leads, so they'll kind of go anywhere that you can give them leads. So in the beginning, you're talking about higher splits and training. So, I mean, I can kind of go over. Let me see if I can find my ad. So this is my Craigslist ad that I put out. And so we're offering 80-20 splits to agents for their own deals. And then we're offering 50-50 splits for any deals where it's their lead. So I think that you definitely need to have competitive splits. I think you need to have competitive splits in this market anyways. I mean, there's so many. Art just kind of chimed in here on Facebook. He said, so his brokerage it's $375 a transaction. So at the end of the day, you've definitely got to be competitive in this market because there's so many discount brokerages like that. I think at a minimum, you need to be 70-30 in this market, but I like 80-20 because I like making it a no-brainer for somebody. So if you think about what we're giving them for the 80-20, it's a pretty good deal. So 80-20, we're really giving them the best of both worlds at the 80-20 split. We're giving them the leads, and we're giving them the training, and we're giving them the high splits. So for most people, it almost doesn't make sense for them to go somewhere else, because even at $375 a transaction or anything in that kind of vicinity, we're not going to be that much more. And in fact, I don't even know if we kind of ran the numbers. No, $375 a transaction would still be cheaper than what we are, but we're providing the leads, the training, the support that they need. So at the end of the day, I think you've got to go with some higher splits. I don't think you need space though, right out of the gate. But I think, Donald, you do have space. So if you do have space, that's just a little bit of a bonus. So I think the other thing I want to kind of finish off with, at least for Art, is just making a list of all the things that he does on a day-to-day basis and create a plan within the next 90 days on how he's going to remove himself from those things and make sure that he puts a time frame on when that's going to take place. So when he was here, he said that he was spending about 70% of his time working on the business, 30% in the business, which is pretty good. I mean, that's really a good ratio for where he's at. But you really want to go 100% working on the business. So the key is, now my guess is that this last 30% for him are probably the hardest things to get rid of. That's usually what happens. Like, we shed the stuff that pretty much anybody can do, and then we have to the remainder of the tasks we're doing ourselves, they're a little bit harder to get rid of. But I would make a list of all of the things and then just work towards those until you're at 100% working on the business. So that's kind of it in a nutshell for his specific 90-day plan. Everybody that comes out here gets one of these, so that we're making sure that we're creating a plan that's tailor-made, specific to them. If anybody who's on the line that's currently working with us that hasn't come out to the office, I promise you it will not be a waste of time. It's definitely huge value add. The 90-day plan is kind of just the final thing, but there's so much that we do when we have people come out. I mean, people are coming out, they're getting to see face-to-face appointments. Let me just pull this up so everyone can kind of see the full kind of gamut, right? So we're giving you a behind the scenes look of everything that we do. And so you're going to get to come out here for 3 days at the office in Boston. You're going to be able to meet all the people and see what they do, because I think that's almost as important as anything else. You're going to get to see who the real estate agents are, who are on the dialer, who the real estate agents are that are more seasoned. You're going to get to meet all of the individual staff. You're going to get to meet myself, spend some time, alone with myself. You're going to get to attend 2 to 3 face-to-face seller appointments. So we're going to go face-to-face on these appointments and bring you on these appointments. So I had somebody come out here 3 weeks ago from Birmingham, Alabama. He went on 2 appointments and we bought both deals. So the goal is obviously to make sure that we can get stuff put under contract in front of you so that we can show you exactly how we do it. But even if we can't get stuff signed right on the spot, we're still going to show you how we do things. The custom 90-day action plan, and then of course, lifetime access to all of our training, our systems, our tools, and stuff like that. So if you're interested in coming out, definitely let me know. If you're working with me, if you're not working with me, send me a message and we can talk more about exactly what that looks like. So does anybody have any questions related to either this specific plan or anything else? I'm happy to go completely off topic at this point and deal with whatever anybody needs help with. So anything on the real estate investing side, systems, building a business, or anything like that, just type it into the chat box. Got a lot of quiet people. I'm assuming this is all just making so much sense. I've covered everything in such great detail that that there are no questions. But I'm happy to cover anything even after I get off of this. Ken said, can you talk about your own time management system prioritization every day? All right, so my own time management system prioritization. Okay. So what I do is the exact same process as I just mentioned for Art, which is that I make a list, all of the things that I do in a day, figure out which ones can be done by someone else, hire and delegate tasks that someone else can do. So what this requires a lot of is either one-on-one individual training or shooting specific videos. So I use a program called Screencast-O-Matic. I'll just pull it up on the screen. And this allows you to take a recording of your screen and talk into a microphone to basically train somebody and create a training video. So once a week, I'm probably creating a few of those videos just to make sure that someone can always have something to look back on when we need to train them. But at the end of the day, so what pretty much I think every entrepreneur that ever kind of walked the face of the earth always finds is that once you delegate everything, you figure out more stuff to do to get yourself in trouble. So I'm personally a workaholic, and I'm never going to just live a 4-hour work week on a beach with my business operating completely without me. My business can operate without me, but when it starts to operate a little bit without me, I find more things to do. So just a simple example of like my fix and flip business is on autopilot for me, right? And it's been on autopilot for me probably since about 2000 and maybe 14, 15. So when that started to happen, and I didn't have a lot to do, I built the brokerage. And then around December 2016, I got that up and running and got bored. So now I'm doing what I'm doing now. So at the end of the day, I'm always starting. Like anytime that I start a new kind of task, I'm the one who's doing it, right? So like on day one, when I was building the brokerage, I was the one recruiting. I was the one going out on the face-to-face appointments. But then we started putting people in places to eliminate me from doing that. So my prioritization is really just what I'm focused on specifically right now. So like right now, I'm specifically focused on getting all of this information. Basically, my day-to-day right now is getting my business model national. So everything I do right now is focused on that, which is podcasting, meeting, talking with people out of state, Facebook Live, documenting our systems, working with people out of state. So I'm kind of laser focused on that right now. And then obviously at some point I'll get people in place to kind of take over some of this stuff, but that's what I'm focused on as of right now. Donald said, what is your cost for private money? So I pay between 10 and 12% rate of return with no points. So let's just assume 12 because 12 is easy. 12 is 1% per month. If someone lends me 100,000, I am paying out 1,000 per month. All right, Richard asked a really good question. Let me just see here. All right, Richard asked, when an agent goes out on an appointment, do they have a problem pivoting to the listing presentation since the seller is expecting a cash offer and usually have other cash buyers behind you? So if they go out unprepared with no sales, with no sales process, yes, they will have an extremely hard time pivoting. I've had real estate agents that have told me they didn't even give my cash offer, or I've had real estate agents who told me I didn't even offer the listing opportunity because of how the seller responded to the cash offer. So what we found over the course of tracking the closing mechanisms, the closing ratios for different people, is that certain people had wildly higher closing percentages. So what we did was we said, oh, well, not we. What I did was I said, man, you know, Anthony, you're closing much higher. Everyone else, what are you doing? And so every single agent that I met with face-to-face that was closing at a very high ratio had a specific way about going through the appointment, which we call a sales process, to deliver this. And so part of the program that we teach on and we train on our agents every single day is what to do and what to say on the appointment. So something that's really just really simple, and one phrase that we like to use is, okay, so when we go out there, our expertise is in generating offers for sellers. And we have two pools of buyers, investment side and the retail side. But the key thing here, the biggest mistake that most people make when they go out and they are trying to get an investment deal and then try to convert it into a listing is they don't spend enough time with the person up front asking the right questions. So you really got to sit down and ask what we call qualifying questions and building rapport. This should be at least 40 minutes. 40 minutes before you talk numbers. Because you've really got to identify what makes the most sense for that individual seller, right? If you go into the property and you assume it's an investment deal or you assume it's a listing deal and you don't ask them the right questions, you're going to end up advising them to do something that it doesn't make sense to do. And yeah, if you advise somebody to do something it doesn't make sense to do, they're not going to like it. So it's all about how you phrase it and how you set it up. And it's still not a perfect science. I mean, you're not going to convert 100%. It's impossible. The closing ratio, Richard said, what do you expect for a closing ratio? So, I mean, expectations and what do I want them to get is a little bit different. So the best people will convert anywhere from 20 to 40%, some as high as 50% appointment to either a listing or acquisition deal. But now the acquisition piece is the easiest part. So pretty much anybody can convert a truly motivated seller, which will be between 5 and 10% of all face-to-face appointments. This is where there is a huge gap between somebody that follows our methodology and someone that doesn't. We've had people go on 20 or 30 appointments and not gotten a listing because they're going out there, they're not building rapport, they're saying what my offer is, and then if the person doesn't fit into this category, they lose them because it's a difficult conversation to have when you say, okay, the property's worth $500,000, but my offer is going to be $220 or whatever the number is. So you're going to make sure that you're doing it the right way, and your conversion will go up, pretty high. All right, I don't see anything else coming in for questions. If anybody has anything within the next couple minutes, type them in. If I don't see anything, then I'm going to hop off. But for those of you, again, who are interested in coming out, getting out with us face-to-face, definitely let me know as soon as you can. We're happy to have people out. We really enjoy having visitors at the office. So, it was good. Hopefully everyone who was on got some value out of it. And, I'll talk to everybody the next time we're on. Art said, no questions, just a comment. Biggest no-brainer. I learned a lot coming out here. I appreciate that very, very, very much. So thank you for saying that. I do really think that everybody who comes out here will definitely get a lot of value. And we'll custom tailor the visit to what you guys want to see. I mean, we have a certain kind of set process that we want to go through. But if there's a specific area of focus that you really want to focus on, like if you said to us, mainly what I want to see is the face-to-face appointments, we could set you up on more face-to-face appointments. If all you wanted to see was the renovation side of the business, we could take you out to our property, show you what we do there. If what you wanted to see is the agent recruiting, we could work a little bit more with my recruiter. So we'll custom tailor it for what works for you. And thank you everybody for jumping on, and I'll talk to everybody the next time we have one of these. Thanks.